Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my July 2021 book haul. July was my birthday month, and I asked my family for some books to celebrate the occasion, and my sister very graciously gave me 3 books, 2 of which I asked for. The first one is The Girl in the Road by Monica Byrne. This is a sci-fi book I heard about years ago and put on my Goodreads TBR back in 2016, which I've mentioned in other videos. It's a personal goal of mine to clear my Goodreads TBR of 2016 books. So all I really remember about this, it's a dystopia. It's about 2 women sort of meeting in the middle to sort of survive together, although they come from different backgrounds. It's a debut novel, and it seems perfect perhaps for Sci-Fi September coming up, or actually I'm not exactly sure when I'll be reading it, but I know it'll be sometime in 2021. Next, I have a book that's more of an indulgence, which is something I use for the fact that I didn't put it on a TBR before deciding just by seeing it that I wanted it. And in this case, this is The Slaughtermans Daughter by Yaniv Itzkovitz. This is historical fiction set in late 19th century Russia in the Pale of Settlement. It follows Jewish characters around. And I know it was Itzkovitz's intention to write a story that didn't necessarily have that nostalgic and doomed tint to it, because so many of these communities were wiped out by the Holocaust, or perhaps even like by the Bolshevik Revolution in the Soviet Union and all of that. Plus, it's about a woman who is forced to take on male roles, particularly as a butcher, as a slaughterer, and I think a lot of the plot has to do with her trying to track down a wayward husband or fiancé. I guess it could be tropey, but there was just something about it, perhaps his desire to interrogate this part of history differently, that jumped out to me. And to be honest, I don't usually gravitate toward fiction written by men, but just like last year with The Orchard by David Hopen, which is another Jewish book, something just grabbed me immediately, and I thought I should go ahead and take the leap. And the final book my sister was very excited about because she read it herself and loved it, and so decided to give it to me as a book recommendation. And usually that relationship is the other way around, so she was excited for this one. This is The Stolen Child by Keith Donahue, and I will read from the flap. On a summer night, Henry Day runs away from home and hides in a hollow tree. There he is taken by the Changelings, an unaging tribe of wild children who live in darkness and secret. They spirit him away, name him Aniday, and make him one of their own. Stuck forever as a child, Aniday grows in spirit, struggling to remember the life and family he left behind. He also seeks to understand and fit into the Shadowland, as modern life encroaches upon both myth and nature. In his place, the Changelings leave a double, a boy who steals Henry's life in the world. The new Henry Day must adjust to a modern culture while hiding his true identity from the Day family. But he can't hide his extraordinary talent for the piano, a skill the true Henry never displayed. And his dazzling performances prompt his father to suspect that the son he has raised is an impostor. As he ages, the new Henry Day becomes haunted by vague but persistent memories of life of another time and place, of a German piano teacher and his prodigy, of a time when he too had been a stolen child. Both Henry and Aniday obsessively search for who they once were before they changed places in the world. The Stolen Child is a classic tale of leaving childhood and the search for identity. With just the right mix of fantasy and realism, Keith Donahue has created a bedtime story for adults and a literary fable of remarkable depth and strange delights. So yeah, when my sister first described this book to me, like texting about it, I worried it might be a little too magic realisty for my tastes, but in reading this description, I feel like this is probably the right amount for me, especially because this is very much going into like Peter Pan myths, right? I mean, in a vague sort of way, but about, living as a child and what that would do to your identity if you're a child forever, or if you're somebody who had been stolen and then goes back into the real world where you grow up but it's not the life that you left behind, so you have like, I don't know, like what, like memories, how memory would come into it from a stolen life of yours, which, you know, is fantastical, at least the way that it's described here, but could perhaps in a realist way hearken to, you know, amnesia or some sort of cultural appropriation where someone is taken from one culture and then as an adult comes back to it. But I mean, a lot of this stuff also comes into play in my own fantasy novel, which is a epic secondary world fantasy that I'm writing. So I guess I'm biased in that way too, that I'm, you know, transposing a lot onto this description. But yeah, I mean, reading it out now, I'm more hopeful about it, like that I'm going to enjoy this. And I gotta admit, this cover is pretty stunning. And finally, we have the book I bought for myself, which was one of my anticipateds of the year. It is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This is her new novella for her new series that she started in the Monk and Robot book. And it is very much about humans and robots in a utopian society where humans basically have everything they need. So when robots are created, you know, to assist them with things, what would they be assisting with? And I think this novella is very much a meditation between a robot and a T-Monk. And I got this book through Solid State Books, which is a local DC bookstore, and I try very hard to support my indies as best I can, especially during coronavirus, and it had been a little while since I had bought from Solid State Books. Also, Becky Chambers did do a virtual event with Solid State Books a couple of weeks ago. This is actually a signed book, like right here, which is cool, but I don't usually care about signed books unless I have a personal experience with the author. That's what's special to me, is getting it signed in person and hopefully personalized in person. Whereas this is just one of many blind books I'm sure she signed, which, you know, is still really cool. And, you know, it was what Solid State Books was offering. So I'm like, yeah, cool, let's do that. And another special goodie that seems much more geekily fun is this accompanying pin about the series. And anyway, for those curious, I will link to Solid State Books down below. So that about covers it for me now, and I will also be linking to the Goodreads pages for all of these books down below as well. I spoke in an earlier video about wanting to do a video on Becky Chambers books because I'm now finally about to start reading The Last in Her Wayfarer series. And then, now that I have this novella, I will go ahead and read that next. And I'm assuming that'll come out sometime in early August. But the next video I will definitely be making as soon as possible is my reaction to the BookTube Prize finals list. The BookTube Prize is a prize organized a couple of years ago by Robert at Barter Hordes, the channel Barter Hordes, and it chooses from among the last year's best in literary fiction and nonfiction and next year translated fiction. We take several months in the year to whittle down long lists of 48 books into a winner of one book per division, and we decide that, of course, in the finals, where now we are finally down to 6 books, or we will be on August 1st, 6 books left in contention. I have been on sabbatical from the BookTube Prize in the semifinals round after judging nonfiction for the octafinals and quarterfinals earlier this year, but sabbatical is over, and I've signed up to be a judge for the finals. I'm very excited. Kind of hoping I get fiction because, you know, I haven't read any fiction for the prize yet this year. There's a lot of exciting titles still in contention in the semifinals, and I'll be excited to see what makes it to the finals. Robert will be dropping that video on August 1st and then giving all of us our assignments, which division we will be judging for if we signed up to judge for the finals. And I will link to BookTube Prize information down below. So yeah, shortly after he drops his video, I hope to film and drop mine reacting to the finals ballot I'll be judging. I might have said that before, I guess I'm rambling now, and so concludes the video. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. and I'll see you next time.